Hey Talking Cars fans, we're going to the 2018 Los Angeles Auto Show and we want to hang out with you, our podcast audience, while we're there. We're hosting a meetup at the Arts District Brewing Company on Wednesday, November 28th from 7 to 9 p.m. Come join us and we'll talk about cars, including our favorites from the show. So send us a text or an email to talkingcars@icloud.com to let us know if you can attend. Hope to see you there.
We answer audience questions next on Talking Cars. Hey, we're back. I'm Keith Barry.
I'm Mike Quincy.
And I'm Mike Monticello.
And this week we are dipping into the mailbag. We are getting through all the great questions that you folks are sending to us, talkingcars@icloud.com. If you don't hear your question answered today, don't fret. We've got a lot more opportunities in the future to go back to the mailbag and dig a little deeper and find your questions. So send us your questions. We might make you famous and answer them. Like, first up, John from Norton. He has a question about reliability, and he sent in a video question.
Do the reliability ratings for all the different years of cars only account for the past year of problems reported, disregarding all prior years? The reason I ask is because I just happened to look at, say, Ford Mustang's 2012 model years. Last year, it was rated as well below average reliability. And now this year, with the latest reliability data that was just released last month, it's now improved all the way up to above average reliability. So how did the reliability of a 6-year-old car improve so much in 1 year? And does it have to do with sample size? Because maybe there's not a lot of responders to the survey that have Mustangs. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
First of all, Norton, I've lived near there. The Chateau, one of my favorite kind of red sauce Italian restaurants. Get the toasted ravioli, play some keno, look at the lake. You got yourself a Saturday afternoon. Second of all, we actually reached in deep into our brain trust and talked to Steve Ellick, one of our statisticians.
Brain trust meaning he's a lot smarter than us.
Yeah, a lot smarter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stats was never my forte, but it is his, and he explained this one to us, and he explained it to you too, right?
Right. I mean, when it comes to used car reliability, it's the basic thing you need to know about how we do this at Consumer Reports is that every year it changes. Every year we ask our members for their experiences with their cars over the last 12 months. We ask them about any problems that they considered serious that had to do with cost, failure, safety, or downtime. Obviously, we weight certain trouble spots heavier than others, like engines, transmissions, things like that.
And for the Mustang, it was sort of body trim, leaks, things that might be related to the fact that it comes in a convertible.
Right. Mustang has different body styles, lots of different engines. This, for a lot of people, this is a sporty car, could be driven hard. Mm-hmm. While it does look a little odd, I suppose, when 1 year it's reliable, next year it isn't reliable, that's the way the data rolls. It
may also be, I talked to Steve, mentioned that interestingly that the same issues showed up in 2013 models this year that the 2012 had last year. So It may just be that at a certain point the Mustang gets a little expensive and then it's fine again.
Yeah, and Steve also said, because I talked to him too, it's always tied to the average of that model year.
Yeah.
So that's to put it all in perspective.
All right, so hope that answers your question. All right, next up we have a question about a battery in a Civic that's giving Kalechi problems in Chicago.
My best friend's car would not start a few days ago. This is actually not the first time that it's happened. And they told him again that it was a problem with the battery. And when he asked why this would happen twice in the course of less than 15 months of having owned the car, they told him that it's not uncommon for them to sell new cars to customers with batteries that would fail soon. When he asked why the battery they're replacing died so quickly, they said that they don't know how old that battery was. He bought this car brand new, plus it's a Honda, which is supposed to be reliable. And this story kind of sounds a little fishy to me, but what do you think that he should do, and what should his next steps be?
All right, that is a tough one. I think first off, we need a little more information. But with the battery being replaced twice.
Well, it's tough that it's not his car. It's he's getting the information from his friend as far as what's really happening. But it's it's not common for dealers to sell a car with a battery that is almost dead. We've bought tons of cars, and I don't think we've ever had that happen.
We reached out to one of our battery testers and also our battery analyst, and they both kind of said the same thing.
Yeah. And so what his friend can do is first of all, batteries have a date stamp. So what you want to do is find the date stamp. They're actually not easy to find. Usually, it's a little stamp of numbers somewhere usually on the side of the battery, and it corresponds. It's like usually a letter and then a number. So like the letter would be A is January, B is February, and then there's a number which corresponds to the year. So one thing would be to just have if his friend can't find that date stamp, then have a mechanic find that date stamp, because then we can find out how old is this battery.
All right, but it's a tough spot because it is a relatively new car, and kind of the advice that I imagine he should get is insist on a new battery.
Yeah.
Absolutely insist on it. This is covered under the vehicle's warranty. Vehicle this new shouldn't be having these issues.
I mean, it sounds like that second dealer threw the first dealer under the bus.
Absolutely,
right.
Which is really strange.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that they just jumped it and said, we gave you a new battery.
Right.
But we don't have that information. The other thing we were talking about is that sometimes sometimes a car will get accessories installed at the dealer before it's sold. And if those are installed improperly, they can be a drain on the battery. Mm-hmm. So if he bought it brand new, or she bought it brand new, there may be like an alarm system or something that was put in, or an engine immobilizer that's drawing.
Because even a brand new battery is not gonna fix that.
Exactly.
Right.
And if this keeps happening, it could be something wrong with the charging system in the car as well. Mm-hmm. So I guess go back to the dealer that you trust.
Right.
And don't just talk to the service writer too. Sometimes they'll bring out the actual mechanic, and we'll see what happens. All right, cool. So I hope that helps. Next question is from Pittsburgh. Jake has some questions about tires.
This is my mom's 2015 Subaru Outback. I got her Nokian WRG3s. And as you can see here, after 13,000 miles, it's down to the 4 on the tread wear marker. And the dealership said that they did not do tread wear warranties and haven't for 45 years that they've been open. So how can I then get a prorated warranty on these tires that lasted 13,500 miles? It should have lasted 55,000 miles. And then the follow-up, what would be better than these WRG3s that would provide good all-year-round performance, give us a quiet ride, and would last a little bit longer than the originals would? Thanks so much.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So the tires wore out prematurely, and it seems really like you really know a lot about tires. We went and talked to someone else who knows a lot about tires.
Yeah.
We can't answer our own questions. We
we
have to go to
battery
other
experts,
people.
we have tire experts. What are we doing here?
Well, I mean, we're lucky we have Jen Stockberger on staff, who is, not only in charge of our whole facility here, but she's, used to be a tire engineer back in her day, and now she oversees the tire program here. So we've never heard of a tire retailer not honoring a tread wear warranty, first of all. That's the first thing. So usually the way this would work is the tire retailer would be the go-between between you and the tire manufacturer. So in this case, since the tire retailer is saying that they don't honor tread wear warranties, then he's going to have to go directly to the tire manufacturer and try and see if what he can get out of this warranty, because tire warranties are a little strange. They're prorated. It may be a problem. He might have to show documentation that he rotated the tires. He might have to, and if he wants to go with a different manufacturer, he may, of tire, when he replaces these, he may be plumb out of luck in terms of that. So,
and being a Subaru all-wheel drive, they have a special way that they rotate the tires.
Yeah.
Right. So but what Jen said was, that we do have some other tire recommendations if he wants to try something different. The Michelin Cross Climate Plus. These are all weather tires. First of all, these are not just all seasons. These are the tires that are a little bit better in snow.
So they have the snowflake symbol on them, and
So she'd recommend Michelin Cross Climate Plus or the Goodyear Assurance Weather Ready, both of which have higher tread wear ratings in our testing than the WRG3. So that's a recommendation there. And also, but try and see what you can get out of the tire manufacturer first.
And on our website, consumerreports.org, we've got a tons of tire information.
It's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah. All right, good luck. So, video questions are done, so you're going to have to listen to me read the rest of the questions. If you don't want to have to listen to me struggle through these, send a video question. We'll put your face, make you famous, put you on YouTube. The first question is from Benny in Quebec. Benny in Quebec.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Did that
Sorry.
just happen? Did
Sorry.
that just happen?
Sorry. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
It's awesome because it drives Dave Abrams
Moving
crazy.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry. That's going to get cut. Benny lives in Quebec and it drives over more potholes than smooth pavement. He says, I never felt it was a problem until I became a father 3 months ago. I wish I could iron out every road imperfection to keep my son happy in his car seat. Currently, I drive a 2008 Subaru Impreza. Can you recommend a car that has a comfortable ride and the lowest noise level? Other requirements are all-wheel drive, active safety features, normal ride height, and a non-luxury brand. Reading what I just wrote, I feel like I shouldn't have laughed at my father for buying that boring E-Class 20 years ago. That car was so comfy.
Boring E-Class is still pretty nice.
Yeah, and the roads in Quebec are rough. Right, they are rough. So, folks, gentlemen, what do you think?
I got a good one.
I just like that he called us gentlemen.
It's a winner, yeah, really.
I hope you didn't steal mine.
I don't know. Hopefully, I would go with a new Volkswagen Golf all-track wagon. It checks about all those boxes. It did well in Consumer Reports testing. Pretty quiet, pretty comfortable, all-wheel drive. Just a hint of sportiness. It's got the hatchback design. Great, when you're loading up baby stuff, strollers and whatnot. I totally get where you're coming from. The kid isn't sleeping. You got to get it and put him in the car, go for a ride so mom can get a little rest. Totally get where you're coming from. Been a while since my kids were that young, so I totally understand why you'd want a car that might help to rock your little one to sleep.
Or so Benny can get some rest.
Yeah.
My recommendation is the Buick Regal Tourex, which is a weird car. It's basically a Buick Regal station wagon.
That's how you sell it.
Well, no, but it's
Buy this weird car.
But it looks. I think it
actually
looks
looks
really cool.
cool.
It's got that
totally
long
agree.
roof,
Yeah.
that profile.
Yep.
You're not going to see another one on the road. And also, because of this sort of bias against station wagons, you can find used ones like just barely used. You can find some incredible discounts on them. Even new ones. I mean, they're putting a lot of money on these cars to move them off the lot, and they look great. All-wheel drive. The only thing is you sometimes have to step up to a higher option package for the active safety features on that. But it is smooth. It is comfortable. It's one of my favorite cars when I'm driving long distances. So yeah, that's my choice.
Does anyone care about my opinion?
What you got?
So I gave him two because I like to give people more for the money. We weren't told just one choice. So I went with Mazda CX-5 because it scores very well in both ride comfort and noise, standard forward collision warning, and automatic emergency braking.
Sorry, in Canadian that's pronounced Mazda.
Mazda.
And then also Ford Fusion. Because see, I was a little confused by, Benny said normal ride height. And I didn't know if that meant easy step-in height, like in a small SUV, like the Mazda CX-5, or meaning a car ride height, meaning, lower to the ground. So I wasn't sure. So I wanted to give him a car as well, Ford Fusion, because that scores really well in ride and also well in noise. You can get it in all-wheel drive, standard forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking.
And you probably get them for a song.
I think so. Yeah. So there's some choices for you.
Right.
Cool. Question number 2 is from Lawrence. He says he's a bicyclist and a pedestrian and notices that an increasing number of drivers are heavily tinting their side and rear windows to the point where their windows just appear pitch black. And he can't make eye contact with these drivers. At most, he can see the glow of their cell phone screens. Have you driven cars with these heavily tinted windows, and how does it affect outward vision, particularly at night? And do you consider such tinting safe? Well, we're with you, because eye contact is one of those, you're going into a rotary, you see someone at a crosswalk, that eye contact with the driver is so important, especially, when you're on your bike, right?
Yeah. We can't get through Talking Cars without talking about bikes.
Well, and not just when you're on a bicycle or a pedestrian, but also when you're driving.
Yeah.
You want to be able to see what that, make the eye contact with a person. And there's laws in most states, and they're all over the place as far as the window tinting. So I looked up on AAA's website what some of these laws are, and like I said, they're all over the place. The most common number I saw was you need to have at least 70% light transmittance. And for instance, in Connecticut, it's actually a law that you have to have a legible sticker on your car that says your car has complied with tinting laws.
Oh, geez,
Which I thought was interesting. But the bottom line is, we don't like them.
Right.
It's dangerous.
But the question is, have we driven that? They don't come from
yeah.
they don't come from the factory.
I haven't
that
driven
way.
a car with that dark of a
Well,
tint.
right.
So I don't
With
know.
the test cars that we buy, they don't come with those.
We like to
heavily tinted.
comply with state law here.
Right, we do.
So,
Every once in a while.
All right, moving on. Hey, Les. Les says, hey, CR, great show. I look forward to it each week. Last year, when I bought my car, the dealership had a no haggle policy. This seems to be more common now. Is it a trend? Do you think it's good for consumers or just a ruse? Well, Les doesn't want to pay more. I can say it is not a new trend.
Not a new thing.
I was doing some research on an article I wrote about this just recently, and I found a 1993 edition of CR where we said these no haggle dealerships are going to be the next big thing, and Saturn is coming out with this pricing policy, and honestly, it's just a way for dealers to once again sort of take advantage of people.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't heard of that many no haggle dealerships. I mean, most of the time we call up a dealership, or when we're buying our test cars, and we tell them we actually haggle over the price. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, we can't deal on that price," but it's because they're like, "Well, this is the first one on the lot." It's not that they have a no haggling policy. It's just they just don't want to deal.
These are getting growing in popularity.
Well, CarMax for sure. Used car places for sure. But I mean, as far as the Saturn thing. I had an ex-girlfriend who her first brand new car was a Saturn. This was years ago. This was a second gen Saturn. And it was one of the easiest, maybe the easiest dealership experience of my life because there was no haggling. She just picked out the color, went in and bought the car.
But one of the reasons it failed for Saturn is that the dealers weren't abiding by this no haggle policy.
So you'd go to the Saturn dealer up the street and they'd say no haggle, and then they have 1,000 SL1s on the lot.
I mean, it's good in theory, but supply and demand is still going to take over.
One caveat: used cars are a little different because used cars, people, I know what I got. These dealers know what they have, and sometimes you'll just see a car just stick with the same price for a couple of months, and they know what they have, they know what they'll sell it for, and they know someone's going to come in and pay for it. So a used car, it's a little different than a new car. Yeah. One other piece of advice: if it says no haggle, still ask.
Yeah,
can't hurt to ask. Yeah. Next question is about Teslas. Hey, CR, great show. I look forward to it each week. Nope, that's not the right one. Sorry. Sorry. Next question is about Teslas. I really want to thank you for all your work that makes our life easier in the long run and the short run. Thank you. That's very nice. I want to buy a Tesla, but I don't want a bare bones base model without any options. For around $50,000 to $55,000, what would you recommend? A new Model 3 or a used Model S?
Well, you don't have to worry about getting a bare bones Model 3 because you can't right now.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
And you also can't get the tax credit, the full $7,500 on the Model 3
bummer,
anymore, which is a bit of a bummer. So,
right.
What do you think?
I would say probably go with a used Model S. If you can go with a 2015. It should be pretty close to that $55,000 mark. You should be able to find some around there, maybe a 56, 57.
What about reliability?
Good reliability, not great reliability back then. And the nice thing is the Model S is a little bigger than the Model 3, so you have, the Model 3's rear seat is pretty tight.
It's got the full dashboard.
It's very fast. It has controls make a little more sense. So I would say go with that.
You agree?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say get a used Prius. What? Crazy, boring.
Well, I was going to say,
something.
If you wait a few months, there are going to be some really good cars, electric cars coming out with 200+ mile range. The Hyundai Kona EV is coming out, and it has that 250 mile range. So maybe wait. Yeah. Dan says, my wife and I are moving back to Chicago from the San Francisco Bay Area to be closer to family. For the last decade that I lived here, I drove a 2007 Mazda Miata that I loved. Best California car, hands down. My wife and I are sharing a new Subaru Forester, which has been a fantastic kid hauler. In Chicago, I'm going to need to buy another car. I love sports cars, but I would like something reasonably inexpensive that has 4 doors. I have a family member that works for Subaru who can get me a great deal on a new WRX. It seems like it would be the perfect Midwest car, a blast to drive and great in the snow. What are your thoughts on the current generation?
Only great in snow if you've got winter tires. Now, most Subarus come with performance tires.
Especially for stock.
Well, yeah, and the STI is crazy performance tires. I don't even bother with that one. But I would say go with the WRX and get winter tires. My other thought was perhaps a Mini Cooper S. Also with winter tires.
My concern is that if you live somewhere where the temperature changes a lot, the roads get really awful and you get potholes, and the cars with those firmer suspensions can be a real pain, a literal pain to drive. So make sure when you get out there, these are not San Francisco smooth roads, get out there and actually drive test drive it first where you are.
Yeah, the WRX is a super fun car. Great handling, really nice power. Not the best 6-speed shifter ever, but pretty good. And I think that if you're young at heart, this person will love this car. You know what I mean? So, it's one of those cars that it's a blast to drive every time you get in it, no matter if you're just going down to get some groceries or whatever. And so if that's what this person is looking for, I think it actually would be a good car. But definitely take it for a test drive. Make sure, because with potholes and city driving, it does have a pretty harsh ride.
I feel a moment of silence, though, for giving up the Miata and the sunshine and all that.
Oh, well, but family.
You go with the WRX, now you're getting some real power.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, cool. And you can rally around Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah.
Nice. Different kind of fun. Next question comes from Tyler, who says, my parents and I have been huge fans of the Honda Ridgeline since its inception, but the new body style, which he calls an SUV with a bed, is not appealing. Unfortunately, the other compact four-door trucks don't seem to be as good in nearly any category. Am I supposed to look past the ugliness and buy another Ridgeline? Help!
What's this ugliness talk? It's the first generation.
I don't get that.
It's the first generation Ridgeline that was kind of goofy.
I had so many people come to me that with the first generation Ridgeline said, I can't get past the styling, that that the way the bed tapers down and all that stuff. And I think Honda heard that criticism, redesigned the Ridgeline.
They made it a little more.
It looks like a pickup truck right now.
A little more rugged.
I think it'd be nuts to not buy a Ridgeline. I love this car. I think it does everything really, really well. It's reasonably fuel efficient, did well in Consumer Reports testing. And it's like one of those cars, like when you ever think, okay, whenever I leave the track, in other words, when I stop working here, I have to have a vehicle. The Ridgeline is one of those vehicles that would do everything in my life.
Yeah.
It's got that trunk in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when we were doing our track testing with the car, with the Ridgeline that we had here that we tested, you'd be driving around doing the track handling and you'd forget that you had a pickup bed behind you, because it just felt like, a Honda Pilot,
But the problem is, te gustibus non disputamus. If you don't like how it looks, it's just, too bad. Sorry. There's no accounting for taste.
Everyone's different.
Forgive my
I think people should watch Talking Cars because you never know what's going to happen.
I think if you really like the attributes of the Ridgeline in this case, you should just go with it.
You're just dancing right over that little bit.
You're just looking at the dashboard. You don't have to look at it. Other people have to look at it. Okay. So
that's true.
All right.
That's
get
true.
the Ridgeline.
Get the Ridgeline.
All right. Jay Walter left us a note. I have always followed the manufacturer's driving instructions in the manual concerning the break-in period. In your opinion, how important is the break-in period for new cars? And do you think that owners who ignore the manufacturer's instructions are shortening the life of their vehicle or are adding repair problems down the road? My latest new vehicle had a break-in period of 1,200 miles. And that's why you always read the manual.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's kind of the stock answer. It's like sort of boring, but generally, you read the owner's manual. Most owner's manuals say vary the speed. In other words, don't go on, buy a car and then go on an 800-mile road trip and keep it on cruise control the whole time. Mix it up a little bit. I mean, we break in our cars before we start testing them, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. We break them in for 2,000 miles, so we go beyond most break-in periods because we're doing more than just breaking in the drivetrain. We're trying to, in a sense, bed in the brakes, get the tires scrubbed in, and kind of have any kinks worked out of the car before we start our actual testing. Make sure the car is totally up to snuff. But, but the question is, are these people who say buy a brand new car, and then just start, hammering on it, and the problem is you won't know probably what damage they've done until many years down the road.
It's hard to abuse it. Just drive
but the bottom
car.
line is don't abuse it.
I'd go easy.
Yeah.
And if you're buying a used car from someone that you think maybe did abuse it, don't buy it.
Yeah. Steve D, what's up with these what's the deal with these three-spoke steering wheels? The last 3 cars I purchased, as well as new cars I've test driven, have all had 3-spoke steering wheels. Is this simply a design choice, or are they mandated by federal safety regulations to encourage 9 and 3 hand positioning? My commute's about 95% interstate driving during off-peak traffic hours, and it drives me crazy to not be able to cruise along with one hand at 6 o'clock for a more comfortable highway commute.
Well, it's not mandated, number one. No. But number two, when we were talking about this question yesterday, Mike said, back in the day, the three-point steering wheels, everyone was the sportiest, the coolest, and stuff like that.
But now so many cars do have the 3-spoke, and hey, maybe they're trying to save money, right? 3 spokes cost less than 4 spokes.
Yeah.
But so it's definitely not mandated. But the bigger issue is, why is this person? I don't like the idea of him going down the road, I guess holding the steering wheel like this or like this. And besides, I mean, you want both hands on the wheel at 9 and 3, and you definitely don't want your hand down here at the 6th position, just, cruising along. It's unsafe.
Yeah. So Wolfgang has a question. I'm a longtime CR member, and I love the podcast. Thank you. I know that you like good infotainment systems and when manufacturers take steps to reduce distracted driving. We do. But I've never heard you mention or promote the heads-up display available on several top-end models. Why not? I have one of my 2013 BMW 335 and I love it, and it definitely helps keeps my eyes on the road. Well, I think part of the answer to that question lies in the fact high end, that the cars that we purchase tend to be the ones that are the most often purchased trims of cars. And heads-up displays for years were sort of limited to the top option, but we have driven cars with it.
Absolutely, and we love them.
Yeah.
And if you look deeper in, our road tests on cr.org, you will see that if the car has a head-up display, we always talk about it somewhere in the road test.
Like the Cadillac CT6.
Yeah, and even if it's optional, we'll quite often mention at least that it's optional, or if we used it in a rented version. And we're big fans of it. We'll talk about how, is it large? Is it color display? How many different things does it have up there? And they are great because, you've got a display up there. Once you get used to it, it's not distracting at all. And your eyes are up where you want them. You want them looking down the road instead of looking over here or looking even here. That's perfect,
Using hand signals.
Yeah.
My only issue with head-up display is sometimes I can't figure out how to adjust it.
Yeah, you might not even know the car
has it. You might
has
want
it.
it higher or lower, or to the right or to the left, or adjust the brightness.
And if multiple people use the car, sometimes
right,
it's...
because we have to share cars here.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, if you owned the car, you would know where that was. But even then, I would still want it much easier because, there's different times in the day you want a different seat position, and you want to be able to easily adjust that thing.
Either way, Wolfgang, we should write about it more. Thanks for the article idea. In our pitch meeting, we'll bring it up. Maybe that saved us some work. That's great. Jared says, hey, Talking Cars. My wife and I are newly married. We're university students. We own a 2004 Volkswagen Jetta wagon with over 140,000 miles. We're starting to look for a used car to replace it. Our budget is between $8,000 and $12,000, and we want something reliable, sporty, and either a hatch or a wagon. If it's a manual, that's also a plus. Thanks. #save the manuals.
I love that they want a manual.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm going kind of back to my tried and true. I'm going back to the Acura TSX wagon. It's not manual, but it's pretty reliable. It's got lots of space inside. If you insist on a manual, I would go for a used Honda Fit, because that gets you the hatchback, sporty, kind of fun. And that's really where I'm going with that one. And the TSX wagon might be outside of their price range.
I'm going to say Mazda 3 with a hatch.
2012 to 2015.
Yeah. Although just check to make sure, because some of them don't have all the safety features. Some of them were a little optional then. So keep an eye out on that. What do you think?
Well, I would say, 2012 to 2015 Mazda 3 hatchback. Manuals are readily available with those cars, and they've been really reliable, much above average reliability for a long time. So, that's a great little car, and it's pretty fun to drive.
Right. That's awesome. Good luck. Have fun. All right, last question. Hi, Talking Cars. Can we do an episode on why the historically reliable Toyota Tacoma is so shoddy now? Well, we're not going to do a whole episode, but we're going to answer your question.
Nice idea.
Yeah, maybe less than that.
Okay.
What's up? Why does this car that used to have truck that had this sort of real rock solid reliability rating, why does it maybe not do so well anymore? What do we got?
Got a redesign. And after that, our surveys are showing that there's some issues with the transmission and the drive system. So
basically owners are telling us.
Yep, that's not good. That hurts the reputation, although it doesn't seem like it's dampening anyone's enthusiasm for this truck. I think it sells really well for Toyota.
Yeah.
That being said, the shoddy part?
Shoddy's a little strong. It's not
But the driving position, right?
Well, this was supposed to be a completely redesigned truck, and of course it's really not. It still drives pretty much like the old truck.
Right.
It has the odd driving position where it's kind of up high, you get in, but then the roof's really low, and it's not that comfortable inside, and the interior feels a little bit old.
It's noisy. It's stiff riding.
So back to the Ridgeline. Right?
Exactly.
Back to the Ridgeline. Cool. All right. Talking Ridgelines, talking bikes, talking cars at iCloud.com is where you send your questions. We love your questions. Thank you for sending them in. We promise, keep watching, keep listening. We'll get to your questions if we haven't answered it. Thanks so much. See you soon.